Hello and welcome back to a new video of mine. In this video I will show you the progress on my robotic arm that I've been building for the past 2 months. As I just said, I started this idea 2 months ago when I watched a lot of YouTube videos about robotic arms, how they work, where they are used, and some other YouTubers that just build their own. And I just wanted to build one of my own to test my knowledge in 3D printing, in designing these things, because I never really used the CAD software before for a project, or I used some of them before but I never was able to complete that project, and with this project I want to do that. So as I said, 2 months ago I started with the idea. I got straight away on designing things on paper. The first thing I did was a paper prototype, where I just cut out the paper and put the robotic arm together. Was just like this long, the arm of the robotic arm, which I just put together and folded it around and saw how the design worked. And then I started with Onshape, like 2 hours after I made the paper prototype, and in Onshape I just designed this paper prototype, as you can see right now, and it was a pretty simple robotic arm. I never got to printing it because I had a few problems with Onshape at that time. I was streaming and don't have the best Wi-Fi. Onshape is a free browser-based software, which means if you don't have a good Wi-Fi, you probably won't have the best time in Onshape, which for me, I don't have the best Wi-Fi, as I just said, and so I had to use other software when I wanted to stream and still wanted to work on the project. So for that I used FreeCAD, which I tried out for 2 hours before the stream, and then I kind of got into it. I liked it at first. I designed the whole robotic arm, so don't get me wrong, I don't hate the software, but I had also there a few problems. But first I just want to tell you what I done. The first prototype was designed in Onshape, then I moved over to FreeCAD, which I also streamed the most of my progress in there. I made the base of the robotic arm, the first joint, and a lot of testing about the motor fittings, the sizing and all that kind of stuff. Because I was completely new to Onshape, it took me some time to get into it. There are a lot of YouTube videos online that teach you how to use FreeCAD, so it's not that hard to get into it. So I just started and I watched a lot of YouTube videos, but there are a few problems that I have with this software. If you want to use it and don't want to spend any money and don't want to use any software where you have to pay at some point, FreeCAD is completely the best software for you. So my problems with this were that first, the error messages are completely off-putting for me. It's a Python code that you have to read through to see that you just misclicked at some point, and that makes the designing process pretty hard, because you first of all have to search then for the error for like 2 minutes or something like that, to just see that you misclicked and it in the end wasn't even a bad problem. So you're just searching around and spend a lot of time on that. I'm pretty sure if you get into it and use FreeCAD for some time, you are really good at getting the errors and can ignore the ones you don't need. But for me it was kind of off-putting. And also the second problem I have with it is that there are so many options that you can choose. Because it's open source, everyone can do their own features on it, and so it's quite unstructured is the best word you can say. For me, I only used like 2 tabs of the ones you could use. Designing part, where you have to draw your objects, and then the viewer. You don't need more at the start. Then there are also like 50 other tabs, which I never even touched, and I probably don't have to. That was a few things that were off-putting for me. And I've made a lot of progress in FreeCAD, so most of the robotic arm is completely designed in FreeCAD. So I also printed a lot of them, and it perfectly works if you just want to use it. But for me it is kind of hard to just get into it and just to design something without getting frustrated because you misclicked somewhere and then you have to click through 10 windows so you can get back to designing. And that's pretty frustrating, and that's why I choose to download Fusion 360. It's also free if you just get started and you're not a big business that makes over 1,000 euros a year. So to that point you can use a free, a little downgraded version, but for me the features that you don't have access to in the free version, I so far didn't need to use any of those, which you probably won't run into as well in the start. So I used it for 20 minutes, or I downloaded it, and I directly started as a little project. I wanted to test how fast I can get into a Fusion 360, and the first thing that I did was a little note holder where you can stick your paper in, so I don't have it flying around here. I like to do my little to-do plans, what I want to do for the day, on my projects, on the YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff. I just put them in there and now they're stored. It took me 20 minutes to design that whole thing, from paper drawing the ideas to measuring the stuff, and then 15 minutes to design the whole thing in Fusion 360. Remember, it's the first time that I used it, so I was really impressed by it. So after that I made a few other things. The second thing I think I did was the bottom part of the robotic arm, which I redesigned from FreeCAD. Then I made a little phone holder, and for this microphone right here, a little stand, because the other one broke my desk kind of. That was about the robotic arm. So that's the kind of first 2 month progress on this robotic arm. Next week, or until the next video, which will be next week, I will try to work on the grabber part, which I started before in FreeCAD, but I couldn't get it to work that good, and it wasn't really functional at that point. I have a few other ideas in my mind. We have a lot of YouTube videos on it, how to design this stuff, and that's what I want to do next week, or until the next video, where I just design that part. So until the next video, I want to design the grabber part of the robotic arm, where I can pick up objects and see how the robotic arm will function, or the entire function of the robotic arm to pick things up and put them to the other place. So what I will do is design all of that. If you watched a few of my streams, you probably saw that I designed a grabber part before, but it wasn't really working. You couldn't really mount the motor on it, and now I've got some more ideas on it. I watched a few other YouTube videos on this grabber part, and now I just will design the thing to the next video. That's my goal for the next video. I think that's it for this video. I hope I covered most of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. And if you like this video and want to follow me on my progress here, and maybe you are a bit more advanced than me, or can point out any problems that I have with the robotic arm, anything that I'm doing stupidly and I could do better, please give me feedback in the comments, and I see you guys in the next video.